how can these folks in the audience, given that we're operating in such a metrics-driven climate, how can they measure what successful diversity looks like beyond just bodies?
Well, I mean, I think some of it goes to whatever your extant metrics are. So if you're measuring things like recruitment, if you're measuring things like yield, which is often a big space there between who you accept and who accepts you. If you're looking at things like retention, doing things that is fairly common in the corporate world, which is when people leave, you ask them why they left. And you can get a lot of really good information that way, which allows you then to sort of tinker with your metrics. I would look at things like the gentleman said about the environment's lumpy. If you know that you've got baseline good numbers, but they're all sort of segregated in low-level positions, and low-level can also mean low status level. If you have all of your faculty clustered in certain areas and not in others. That's something to look at. If you are looking at the advising, which is also important, not just for all of the problem areas, but just the normative. You know, you have people who come to college and they think they're grown and they're not. Right? And they get there and they do all kind of stupid things. And how much stupidity do we tolerate? This is one of the things that really has to be, because, you know, we will tolerate stupidity from certain people. We won't take it from other people.
Kids being kids?
Right. Right. Some kids can be stupid, and we just know you're gifted. Right? And the boundaries are just confining. And other people, you're a menace to society. And so we have to really sort of look at how that's another area of metric, not just retention of who voluntarily leaves, but the retention of who's asked to leave. Why are they asked to leave? The metrics of tracking what happens in student disciplinary issues and student court. Because it's fascinating how, back to the affirmative action issue, how we will make exceptions for student athletes that we won't make for regular students.
So, I mean, I think, and obviously increasingly we're all under demand for assessment and other metrics, but I think when you look at, say, exit interviews or graduation surveys that universities are doing, rarely, and when it is included, the language is a bit problematic. I broke something. So how are we measuring students' experiences? All students, because there's a clear amount of data that demonstrates that students who not only have diverse faculty, but who take diverse curriculum, who are exposed to things like ethnic studies, it enhances their overall experience. It enhances their level of sensitivity, their critical awareness, their ability to see themselves in this broader world. But are we asking those questions that then not only point to the importance, but then justify increasing that investment? Because we don't ask it. We respond to incidences and to put out fires as opposed to creating the conditions. And I think using those exit surveys and actually utilizing the experts on particular campuses who are studying these issues to formulate those questions is really important, because so often, you know, you'll see those exit surveys and be like, hey, we asked about diversity. And it's like, well, who wrote that? You have people who are studying race in higher education. You're having people study gender, sexism, campus climate, and they're like, oh, I don't know anything about it. And so this is really important, again, getting out of those siloed spaces.